Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be making this amazing Halloween door wreath. It's actually just on the wall in my craft room at the moment because I haven't put it on the door just yet. So we're going to make this wreath and it's made from organza, a little bit of felt, some ribbon, and I've used my Cricut to just make this nice little centre for it as well. So I'll show you the full method and everything that you need will be in the description down below for you. I hope you're enjoying this Halloween content. I have got a couple of other videos on the channel that have gone up before this one, so I'll link those down below for you as well. So without any further ado, let's jump into making this wreath. Alright then, so material requirements for this project are going to be a wreath form. I'm using this wire one that I got from Amazon and I'll link this down below. It's got 4 wires on it just there, so that's the one I'm using. These are green even though it looks black on screen. I've just got some zip ties, cable ties, whatever you want to call them. These are just, again, I think from the pound shop. You'll need a piece of felt. And then you're going to need some plastic canvas. This one was from Hobbycraft, so it's their Hobbycraft knit and stitch range, and it's just plastic canvas 5 count. You can see that on there. This was about £3, but you can get quite a lot of wreaths out of one piece. I'm using some orange plastic deco mesh. This is by Oak Tree Eleganza. You can buy this directly from them if you have an account, or you can buy it online and you can get it on Amazon and other places like that. And then I've just got 2 rolls of Eleganza soft sheer organza in the black and the purple, and the reason that I've got this is because I couldn't get black and purple deco mesh, so I'm going to give this a go and see how it turns out with these instead of deco mesh. But to be honest, as this wreath will only be up for a couple of weeks, I don't think it's going to be much of an issue. So the first step in this process is to get your plastic canvas and your wreath form, and this is a 10-inch wreath form, and you just want to pop it down on your plastic canvas. Just grab a Sharpie or a permanent marker, whatever you've got, and just draw around the inside of your wreath form, the first row there. Okay, draw yourself a circle and then you'll need to cut that out. Over my cable ties. Okay, so now we've got a circle of mesh. Then what you need to do is attach this plastic canvas onto the centre of your wire wreath form. So just grab some of your cable ties for this. Get your cable tie, and if you just put it through and just put it onto the first wire on there and give it a pull. Alright, so once we've got that attached onto there, we can just snip off the ends of these, and for that I'm just going to use some little snips here that I've got. If you've got little pliers you could use those as well. So the plastic canvas is now attached to the wire wreath form, so now we can start looking at the organza and the deco mesh. So now we're going to cut our deco mesh lengths, and this is a little trick that I picked up online on Pinterest from a lady called Julie, who does Julie's Wreath Boutique. So she uses a wood burner like this one and she cuts through the deco mesh with it, and it just makes it so much easier to do. So I'm going to try that today. You can use a rotary cutter as well, but I prefer to do this because it does cut down on the amount of fraying that you get from your deco mesh. I'm going to cut now 10-inch wide pieces, and what I've done, I've got this piece of glass on my desk and I've marked on it there with a marker that's 10 inches from here to here. So I'm going to now just cut my pieces out. I'm going to probably finish off this roll. I've already done one wreath with this roll, so I'm going to probably just keep going until I get to the end of it. When you're using a wood burner to do this sort of thing, you will need to make sure that you're wearing PPE because it does let off a smell, which probably isn't very good for you. So make sure you're working in a very well ventilated room, get your windows open, and also wear a mask if you've got one, just to protect yourself. So this is on now, so it should be nice and hot, and I'm going to just carefully score through. I might have to move over a touch. Right, so I'm going to just carefully now line my line up, and I'm working against this line here on the board. Okay, so if I just put that nice and flat, and I want to stick to the same line all the way through, so just go through it like so. I'm just sticking to the same piece all the way through, and that's cut nicely. Let's just go through that plastic. So there we go, perfect. I'm going to cut all of this now and then I'll come back to you. I'm hoping I've got enough here to do this with. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I've got 10 pieces. Probably isn't going to be enough really, but what I'm going to do is intersperse it with this, and then I will be able to get a nice even mix, and then I'm going to use some purple as well, so it's going to be a lovely Halloweeny coloured one. So as I said before, this is the Eleganza soft sheer organza. It is the black one, and it's the same width roll as the deco mesh. So I'm not going to use the wood burner to cut this organza with because it will just melt it. So I'm going to just use a pair of regular scissors and cut out my strips to the 10-inch length again. Alright then, so now we've got all our pieces cut, we are ready now to start putting everything together and getting it all onto our wreath. So what we're going to do first of all is just pop the wreath to one side, and I'm going to show you how to make the petal shapes that we're going to use for our design. So this is a piece of the deco mesh, it's 10 inches wide, and what we're going to do is make a couple of folds in this, and then we will hold it in our hands in a certain way to make it into a petal. So what you need to do is pop it on your desk and get your finished edges at the top and the bottom. That's important, okay? And then take the bottom corner and the top corner and just fold them into the center like this. Then you can fold over a little bit here and fold over a little bit here, and then gather in the center. So now you've got this sort of bow shape, okay? So once you've got it in your fingers, if you squeeze it together like so with your other hand, and then you have got this sort of petal shape here that we've now achieved. All right, so if we bring back the wreath ring, what we're going to do is start from the outside in. So what we're going to do is put it onto this second bar here. So that's the first bar, and we're going to use the second bar there. So I'm just going to grab a cable tie, and what I find is easier is to put the cable tie onto the wreath ring like this first before I've got my piece ready. And then what I do is just put that down onto there and hold it with one hand whilst I put the end through the cable tie. Okay, and then we just give it a good pull and we can snip off the end. And what I'm going to do with this particular design is just alternate black and orange. So I'm going to put 2 orange on each section of my wreath first. So I've got another one here that I've already arranged. I'm just going to put another one on here. See, it can be a bit fiddly, so just take your time with it. Okay, there we go, put that one through there, give it a good pull, and then snip off that end. So I'll show you again how to make a petal. So if we get another piece of Deco mesh, so we've got our finished sides at the top and at the bottom, so it's a fold, fold, little fold, and gather. Okay, squeeze it together, fold it over, and then you can attach it to your wreath ring. So let's just put 2 on each section to start with, because I've only got 10 orange ones. Ordinarily I would go all the way around with the same Deco mesh, but I couldn't get any more orange, which was a bit annoying. My inspiration for this was Julie from Julie's Wreath Boutique, and she is an American lady who makes loads of absolutely stunning wreaths, and she is like the queen of wreath making. She's obviously in America, so can get so many more different materials than what we can get in the UK. And they can get all their sort of stuff from Dollar Tree and places like that, and it's so much cheaper than what we can get here. But I was just so amazed by how she made these wreaths that I thought I've got to have a go, and I've become a little bit obsessed with making them. We've had a different one on our door for like every season so far this year, which has been really nice. So I thought for Halloween I'd show you how to make one of these wreaths. So if you want to see more of this sort of thing, check out Julie's Wreath Boutique on Facebook, and she's on Pinterest as well. Not Facebook, sorry, YouTube. She's on there and also on Pinterest, and she's got some brilliant ideas. Alright, so that's what it looks like to start with, and you can now manipulate these to be the finished side on the top if you prefer that look. Okay, so let's now grab some more of the organza. So this is the black organza that we're going to use. I'm going to do exactly the same thing, but I'm not going to fold it. I'm just going to gather so that it gives me a little bit more of a ruffle with it. So I'm just going to do exactly the same thing on the same bar as I did with the Deco mesh. I'm just going to pop it on. I'm just going to keep going. I might put 2 in between each one because I think that'll give it a really nice full look. Again, fold in the middle. Alright, let's just keep going. So I'm just going to keep going all the way around, and then I'll come back to you once I've got them all on. Alright, so I've got all of the pieces on now. I'm just going to snip off the remainder of my excess cable ties. So for this first layer I've used 8 pieces of Deco mesh, and then I've also used 16 pieces of my black organza. So the next row I think I'm going to do all purple, so I'm thinking I'm probably going to need about 20 pieces of purple, so I'll cut those next. Again, I'm going to stick to 10-inch pieces because I want them to be the same sort of size. For now, you can see it's making this sort of beautiful flower effect, but it looks amazing. The black and the orange and the two different textures with the organza just looks really nice. So I'm going to now cut out my purple, which is going to go in the middle, and I'm going to do purple all the way around, I think. So I might change my mind, but let's see. So I'm going to start cutting that out, and I'll come back to you once I've got all my bits cut. Okay, I am back and I have cut out a load of my purple pieces ready now to go on. So, right, so I've got my zip ties and I'm just going to, let's start the same way as we did before. So we're going to fold our corners in and just gather it straight up and then fold it over. This is a lovely colour. And then we're gonna just grab the wreath ring, and now because originally we started off on the second bar, so now we're going to go to the third bar, or you could even go to the fourth bar. So for the row of purple, I'm going to go for the fourth bar, which is the one where the mesh is actually attached as well. Oh, right then, so now I've put on all of the purple that I think I'm going to use, and I have used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 purple pieces. Okay, so now I need something to go in the centre. So I'm going to put a bit more black, I think, in the centre, and then I'm going to make a witch's hat to go here. So with the organza, because obviously we haven't sealed the edges like we did with the deco mesh, you might get a bit of fraying. I don't know if you can see, there is a little bit of fraying here, but you could cut that off once you're ready and it's finished and you're not going to be handling it very much. You can cut that off. Of course, this is your wreath, so if you want to add some more in to make it a bit more full, or you know, to cover up some more bits or whatever you want to do, it is up to you because it's your design and it's your wreath. Okay, I might add a couple more purple bits in, like I think I could probably do one here. So I'm just going to make another one to go in there, and this is the real beauty of this, because you can decide what you want to do as you go along, and there's no sort of hard and fast rules over what you do with it. Just a bit fiddly to get into here, so let me just get in there. Got my cable tie in, but it's the wrong way around. There we go. I want to let it go now because it's a really tiny one. I'm just going to pop that one in there just to fill that little gap, because I felt as though I could see the orange and the black pieces too much, so I just want to get rid of that. And I'm just going to snip off the end of that cable tie again. Okay, so that's better. I'm happy with that now. So now everything's nicely covered up. You can move all your pieces around to be how you want them to be and have them sitting exactly how you want them to be. So let's do the centre now with some more pieces of black. Let's just put the wreath out the way for a moment. So I'm just going to bring back my wreath, and I'm going to do the same as before, just folding in my corners and then making them into the petal shape. I've got my black pieces again, and I'm going to use my canvas this time. So you'll definitely want to get your cable tie put through before you start, because it can be quite fiddly to do when you've got your piece in your hand. So let's just pop that through here. Alright, so there's one there. And then we're just going to pop that on like we did with all the others, but of course we're not attaching it to the wreath ring. Now we're attaching it onto the actual canvas. So we're just going to go around. You won't need as many for this piece as you would have done for the outer rings. Alright then, so now I've got my wreath completely filled up how I want it to be, and I'm really pleased with how it looks. I'm going to start making the witch for in the centre, and I'm just going to make like a witch's hat. To make my witch, what I'm going to use is a toilet roll tube. So all I am going to do is just cut my tube in half, and then I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to just make it into a big cone shape like this, so it resembles a witch's hat. Then I'm going to just grab some tape, and I'm going to tape it up around the seams like this. And it doesn't matter that it's like this on the back, because you won't see that once it is in place on our wreath. So that is our witch's hat to start with. Then I've got a piece of black felt, so I'm just going to cover my witch's hat with this, and I'm going to make it nice and pointy on the top like so. So now I'm going to just pull that around nice and tight like so, and I'm going to staple that into place on my toilet roll tube. You could also use a hot glue gun if you wanted to, but just because this is much quicker to do, I'm just doing it this way. Now I'm going to cut off my piece of felt all the way around, but I'm going to leave a small lip so that I can fold it under. Look on the inside and just literally cut it around the outside like that. So there is our nice pointy witch's hat, and then I will glue gun that together. So that is my hat to start with. Okay, and then what I'm going to do now is just grab some of this green felt, and I'm going to cut some small strips. And you're going to need 3 strips for each side of your hat. I'm not measuring them particularly or anything like that, I'm just doing it quite roughly, but they're about 1 centimetre in width. And then what I'm going to do is get 3 strips together like this, and I'm just going to pop a staple again in the top to hold it together. Then I'm going to plait them. Alright, and when I get to the bottom, I'm just going to pop another staple in it, and I'm going to leave the bits loose at the bottom. So just repeat the process again for your second plait. what you'll want to do is grab your witch's hat, make sure you've got it at the front piece there. I'm just going to open that up and just snip off. I've got a little bit of a bump here, so it's not making it very smooth. Just going to cut that bit off. There we go, and fold that bit under. And then I've got my witch's hair. So what I'm going to do is just pop that inside there, and I'm going to use a glue gun to glue that on. Okay, so the glue gun has heated up now. So I'm just going to glue the insides of my felt down. So I'm just going to pop a little tiny bit of glue on the inside of the felt. I'm not going to go crazy because it won't need loads. Okay, there we go. Put it on there, and then just quickly press it down before it sets, because it sets really fast. Okay, now I'm going to just pop on my plaits to the insides of my witch's hat. So again, just a little blob of glue on there, and then just press it into the side of your witch's hat. That was hot about myself. Ow. Okay, and then the same again for the other side, and just pop it on the opposite side. There we go. So now we've got those on there. So you've got your witch's hat and your witch's hair. And then whilst I was waiting for my glue gun to heat up, I just made a couple of little hand-tied finger bows. I'll link a video above and below for you to show you how to make these if you don't know how. And I'm just going to pop a bit of glue onto those as well, and then just going to pop that on the bottoms of my hair there, and again on the other side. These bows are so easy to make, and they really finish something off, you know, so well. So now we've got our hair and our little ribbons as well. And so whilst my glue gun was also heating up, I made the bows, and I also just went over to the Cricut and made this little Happy Halloween cutout, and I'm going to pop that onto the witch's hat just to finish it off. So you've got this centre here that you're going to be able to see. So I'm going to just make a couple more petals, and I'm just going to pop those in at the centre just to cover up that white there. So I'm not going to be too picky about where I put them. Let's just put that in there. These are literally just to cover up that white canvas in the centre, and I'll just pull them out so that you can't see that. Let's just snip the end off. Okay, and then that will be okay. Right, so now let's figure out where we're going to put our little witch. I might just put her there. So I've got a little bit of jewellery wire here that I'm just going to cut a little length off of. This is just what you would use if you were going to be making necklaces and stuff like that. It's just a really thin gauge wire. And then what I will do is just cut off a small piece of black felt, just a little bit like this, and then what I'll do is get my witch's hat, and I'm going to pop that on the back there. I'm just going to grab my glue gun again, and I'm just going to glue that down with my glue gun, and then I'm going to just pop that piece over the top there, and then I'm just going to snip off the additional piece, and that's just going to be a little bit of a protection for this wire. So then now the wire can, once that glue's set, can feed down through into my mesh underneath, and then I can tie that at the back. So I'm just going to make sure it's nicely set. Now I'm just going to get my 2 pieces of wire and pop them down there. This is a bit fiddly to do actually, so let's just use 2 hands. I've just got my 2 pieces of wire and they are now at the back. So if we just turn over the wreath, you might not be able to see that, but the wires are here, and I'm just going to tie those now onto the back of there. And then I can just snip those ends. And then I'll just snip those ends off. But I'm not going to do them too close to the mesh just in case they do come undone. Okay, let's turn that back over. So now the witch's hat is on there. And there's her little braids. And now I've got my little Happy Halloween that I cut out on the Cricut that I'm just going to stick onto her hat with a little bit of glue. And I'm not going to go mad because I don't want it to spill out over onto her hat. Let's just put a little bit on. So that is it, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this video and that you will give wreath making a go. This video was so fun to make and I can't wait to have this wreath displayed on my front door for Halloween. If you have enjoyed this video, I'd love to see you again for the next one. So don't forget to subscribe, drop me a like and any comments or questions that you might have down below, and I will see you for the next one. Bye!